Let me tell you about a time before computers and cell phones. When the empty prairie lay as far as the eye could see. When horsepower had only one meaning. And folks didn't have to romanticize about the Old West because they lived it. Friend, that time wasn't so long ago. So why don't you sit back and let me tell you a story about the trail.
Guys, I guess we'll start into this so we can kind of line you up with your horses. We're going to kind of designate a certain bunch of you to a certain wrangler so that he can kind of look after you. Their expertise as the horse business are here to share it with you.
16 wannabe cowboys have paid big money to be here today to help deliver 250 bucking horses to the world-famous Calgary Stampede.
Welcome to the greatest outdoor show on earth. The Calgary Stampede!
It's billed as the greatest outdoor show on earth, where the Stampede's very own broncs kick and buck and do just about anything to keep their rider from claiming his share of the prize money.
Our hero! Ladies and gentlemen, look at this horse!
But it's a long ways from the Stampede Ranch in Hannah to the rodeo grounds in Calgary. It's 6 days and 150 miles, and that's going to take a lot of saddle time. Now, these city slickers, we're going to call them wranglers from now on. They'll ride alongside real cowboys through country most Albertans never knew existed. It's going to be a ride to remember.
Well, this is going to be probably the toughest day for all of us. You know, it's the longest day. There's 30 miles. And, you know, a lot of guys haven't ridden a lot. And the horses won't probably act like a herd as much as they will when we're finished. So it'll probably be the hardest day.
With barely a word and a nod, Stampede President Rob Matthews leads the Wranglers and Cowboys from the corral. And the adventure of a lifetime begins.
This is it.
For these men and women, this trip didn't start today, or yesterday, or even a month ago. It started in the imaginations of their childhood, when a stick was a six-gun, a backyard stretched forever, and a bicycle was a faithful horse. They're businessmen and lawyers, investors and ranchers, and they all share a dream to live a life that hasn't been seen in these parts for an entire generation.
On this trip, I lived in Alberta for 20 years and never got a chance to be a cowboy. Never got a chance to see this part of the world, and I thought, well, I can see it all in 6 days and maybe learn to ride a horse.
It's a long hour of galloping to start off the day, a chance to let the horses get their legs, and for the wranglers to find their place in the saddles. When the first break comes, it's much appreciated.
Matthews, remind me never to go to high school with you again. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here with the sore hands. Yeah.
Soon, it's time to move on. Somewhere up the road, lunch is waiting, and hard riding makes for big appetites. This is the way they used to move the horses to the Stampede, going all the way back to the 20s, until transport trucks got big enough to do it quicker and cheaper. Along the way, they'd join up with other cowboys and other herds. They'd take the whole works into Calgary for the greatest outdoor show on earth every July. And then, when the Stampede was over, they'd move on to other rodeos, wherever those tough broncs were needed. At the end of the season, they'd take them all back. When they reach the midday break, most of the rookie riders feel like they've been beaten across the backside with a fence post, but not many guys are willing to admit it.
I'm fine. Are we on? Yeah, I'm fine. It's a great start.
Okay, we're not on now. How do you feel?
I feel brutal. The light's still on. This is way more than I ever expected, and I got 6 more days to go. But this guy's a great horse. He's going to get me through it. Right, guy? What did you...
I need to walk, don't you? Badly.
Though the behinds and the backs have taken a whooping, nobody complains about the view or the thrills.
Just most beautiful country, rolling hills. You just gorgeous. This kind of country you always hope to be in, riding a horse. It's exciting.
Martin Lambert here is a lawyer. The riding was a little tougher than he expected.
Good morning.
That was wild. Just, sort of had some pre-expectations, but it was kind of wilder than that. And, horses moving at a good speed and riding alongside them, and it's really exciting.
You start to get one with your horse. The horse, you can tell every time you get into an open range, he just frees up and he feels free, and you just go with him. And he just kind of absorbs you, and provided that you remember to double balance, you're sort of with him. Well, I didn't know much about it until I started riding a month ago to get ready for this. And it's amazing. It's amazing, the proximity, the soul of this thing. He wants to be loved. He wants to know who's in control. He wants a schedule. He lets you know how he's feeling. It's a great horse.
Well, it was just an amazing experience to come across this terrain where there's no people for tens of miles, and the horses themselves were just have an amazing amount of energy. From the time we left, we were in a full trot canter, and then finally into a gallop for 10 miles.
With the riders fed and watered and the sun wandering into the afternoon, the call is given, and it's time to move the herd again. They continue south towards the day's end, searching for a little village called Dorothy, and the end of a long first day. As if riding across open prairie wasn't enough, they come upon this, the coulees of the Red Deer River Valley, and a magnificent display of color and rugged terrain.
Well, I haven't been to this southeastern corner of Alberta that much. I'm from the west, and sort of the mysticism of coming on a ride like this was what caused me to pay the rather exorbitant amount of money that I'm paying. But it was really just that opportunity to do something that is the chances are going to diminish rapidly over the next few years, if indeed they ever happen again.
All my life I've been raised around horses, but I've never been on a horse drive before. This is the first time for me, because I've got 6 brothers, and they were always in charge of bringing the horses home from the pastures.
That's Charlotte Jackson. She's come all the way from her cattle ranch in central Alberta. Charlotte wanted to be here so bad, she sold 9 range cows just to pay her way.
These horses in particular, the Calgary Stampede horses, I've watched them buck at various rodeos in Canada and the US, and to be able to be out here riding with them is just beautiful. There's nothing that compares to it.
Like a scene from an old movie, riders and horses descend on a cloud of dust into the town of Dorothy. Mercifully, the first day comes to an end for the riders. A little sore, a little smarter, but every one of them with a smile as big as the Alberta sky.
It was excellent. The last part of that trip, coming down through the canyon and being able to look at the valley and all those people on the sides, that made my day. It's fantastic. My posture is a little bit sore, but it's nothing that I can't handle. I'm good. I'll be good.
A little more galloping than you had imagined? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Galloping, trotting.
But it was a long day?
Yeah, it was a full day.
Yeah.
6.5 hours in the saddle was about 4 more than I've ever spent.
It was a great day. Lots of good country, lots of wild action. I could do that every day, I think. No, this is a cowboy's dream. Fast horses, good country.
Even though the ride is over, the work isn't. After the broncs are put out to pasture, the saddle horses have to be cared for.
Well, I think one of the reasons I wanted to come on the ride was just trying to do an adventure every year, and this is definitely an adventure. And you get to see it's the horses, I guess, that just amaze me, and the power and that sort of thing. But it's an adventure. It's something to sort of try and do every year to make sure you don't get stuck behind the desk all the time, and realize there's a lot more to life. And there's other ways of life. Like the cowboy life is definitely very different from what I'm used to, and it's kind of neat. I enjoyed it.
If anyone knows horses, it's this fellow right here. When there's a movie or a television show being shot around Calgary, chances are they're riding one of John Scott's horses.
Barry Sullivan here, he's riding a horse that Tom Selleck rode in a picture called Crossfire Trail. Hasn't come out yet. One of the other clients here is riding a horse called Cowboy that Jackie Chan rode in Shanghai Noon. We've got a black horse here that the lady's riding, Charlotte, and he's probably been in 20 pictures. Sam Elliott rode him, and You Know My Name, and he's been in an awful lot of pictures. He's one of the main cast horses that I've got.
Impressive company for the wranglers, but for the horses, it's just another day at work.
This is our first night at the Hilton, right?
Yeah, first night.
That looks cozy, I'll tell you. Oh, yeah. Just like home. Come on, Tunes. Beautiful. I think this is made for two.
Got my favorite pillow.
Yeah, but look at him. He's taking the whole damn tent already.
Too late.
This is my mattress, which is going to give hours of sleeping comfort, hopefully. On top of that wire cot with heavy-duty springs.
This just doesn't get any better than that. Huh? Check that baby out. Pillow.
After a shower and some supper, the wranglers join the locals at the fairground. It's July 1st, Canada Day, and the folks here have put together a big to-do to celebrate the country's birthday and to meet the wranglers. Being a real cowboy means getting up early, no matter how late the night goes. Darcy here, he's a real cowboy. On this trip, his job is to care for the horses and maybe teach the wranglers a thing or two along the way.
Yeah, we just want to make sure that the shoes are on them good and that they aren't lame. And just watch for bumps on them, cinch sores or bad fly bites that are going to get worse. Because they're no good to you if they're crippled or hurt. So you got to watch and check out things and make sure that they're healthy and not sore. They're always in shape, ready to go.
Well, the real cowboys, I mean, they absolutely know what they're doing, and just saddling the horses. I got up at 5 this morning and went up and helped them saddle the horses, and just little things like they saw a cinch sore in a horse, so they took the cinch off another horse, traded it because it would be less harmful to the horse. These horses are treated well by these guys, and they are experts. There's no doubt about that.
Along the shores of the Red Deer River, excitement is brewing. A bit of history comes to life. Today, the entire herd will cross, the way it was done way back in the early days of the Stampede. In all the world, it's a sight few people here will ever see again. Scarcely a heartbeat later, they're saying goodbye to the town of Dorothy and the Red Deer River Valley. In Alberta, geography can change as quickly as the weather, and as they crest the valley ridge, they ride into the wintering hills. The wintering hills are cattle country, a place where stock can graze, protected in the winter from the Arctic blasts that drive temperatures less than 40 below. But on this day, it's sheer heaven. It truly is a land of dreams, as the wranglers ride tall across the ocean of green, with nothing but the wind and thunder of hooves rolling over the hills. In this paradise, the rest of the world is a lifetime away, and it's easy to feel like you're a part of the land. With every ridge and every hill, it's like riding through a Zane Grey novel.
Well, it sure cleanses your mind of all the things that you were worried about or working on previously. The office I left only a couple of days ago, and it's already light years away, which is great. So it'll be very refreshing, and I'm sure I'll get back and I'll be all charged up again and hopefully ready to go. Maybe I'll change my lifestyle though, which would be great.
This is great cow country. None better than Wintering Hills. You've got the topography, you've got the water, and you've got protection, you've got the trees. And in the bull business, we try and sell, and do sell quite a few bulls into this part of the world. And ranchers are pretty successful at this part. I think the horses settled down from yesterday. They weren't quite as goofy. I think it'd be better tomorrow. But no, they got along good. And I think we've got very few injuries too, which I think is amazing for, you know, like 200 plus horses.
The second day of riding comes to an end on the wintering hills. Of course, there's still work to do, but the wranglers gladly pitch in, and not a one seems to mind.
I was expecting a bunch of people that, number one, would go the first half a day and then want to go home. Number two, we'd have horses running all over the country and people getting bucked off and just a series of wreck after wreck. And that's not what we got. A lot of work to start with, but these fellows that are on this trip, surprisingly, are I thought it would be a lot worse. But I've got a lot more respect for them now than my feelings were before we started.
Under a cool Alberta evening, the cigars and guitars come out. For the wranglers, it's almost too much to hope for. A singing cowboy, and a good one at that.
We were camped down on Red Rivers, the weather being fine. We was camped down on the south side of Draw. When a norther started blowing, and we doubled stuff was out. For it took all man to hold cattle in.
It's a different world that greets the wranglers in the morning. As they emerge from their tents, they might swear they're under some sort of drink-induced fog. But this pea soup is as real as trouble, and there's plenty of that ahead. The fields and grasslands are behind.
Now where are the horses? Can they find the horses?
The rest of the trip is roads and ditches, and it'll take the whole group working together to keep the stock in check and to keep each other safe. Winston Bruce is the rodeo manager of the Stampede. He knows a thing or two, and he's more than happy to share some tips with the wranglers.
So today what we're going to learn is road crossings and keeping them in the ditch. And you'll, as you're going along, you'll like it wherever roadways cross. We want you to, if we're going to go west as we are pretty quick up here, we want you guys to just form kind of a circle so they can't go east or can't go south. And always remember again, only farmers all ride behind. You got a choice again of being cowboys or farmers. Have a good day, everybody.
Hey, that's kind of scary going through the fog. You can't see what's in front of you all the time. Running down this ditch, we got to watch for wire. And another thing that's dangerous is the culverts that are on the crossroads. You got to really be paying attention. And plus, the broncs are a little bit fresh today, so they tend to be moving faster. We'd all be better off if the fog would lift just a little bit.
A prairie wind chases away the fog, and the wranglers breathe a sigh of relief as they turn off the main highway. It's Alberta farmland now. Oats, wheat, barley, and canola. Not too many horses around here, and that's what brings the people out to cheer the riders on. After all, how often do 250 broncs trot by your house? And how often do you get a birthday kiss from a real cowboy?
Great day to be alive, isn't it?
The riding is a little easier now, and that pleases Vern.
These are moving along good, hey? Well, you know, about this time of the afternoon, I feel like I'm gonna live again. Well, the circle be unbroken. By and by, Lord, by and by.
At midday, some special guests await the riders, Hutterites from a nearby colony. Decades ago, their ancestors came to North America to escape religious persecution and live a free life. Though they run some of the largest farms around, they rarely own horses, so it's quite a sight to see so many in one place.
At least we're making new friends along the road. That's right. This lady, you're telling me, that had we gone that way, it could be fresh bread, pork chops, fries.
He'll hit the dance floor, flashing girls his best night. Burning golden of the candle, rodeo Romeo style.
Bravo! Hey, hey! That's really good.
My back is killing me. I haven't slept for 3 nights. Can't move in bed. I tried to get out last night, get out of bed to go and get some painkillers, and I let out a cry of pain as I hauled myself up out of bed, right in the middle back, mainly due to my bad form.
From desk jockey to cowboy is a pretty big leap, as Martin Lambert also discovered.
Well, I sort of cratered a bit this morning. I took some drugs, which I don't normally do, and took some Robaxacet, and I don't know if the knees are getting stronger or the drugs are working, but it's feeling a lot better. Yeah, so. The pace is a little bit easier too, a little more walking and stuff. I think the skill set improves. You do a few things right, and it takes some of the pressure off some point. So it ain't perfect, but it's a lot better than it was. So I think we'll be okay.
Well, I'm having a good time. It's a great experience. I used to do this when I was in my teens, trail bucking horses around the country for a guy at a concert, and it brings back a lot of old memories to come and do things like this, and it's probably the last time you'll ever get a chance to do it. Then I used to tramp around the rodeos when I was a young guy with the Winston Bruce and Dwayne Bruce's era. So it's nice to come and see a bunch of guys you haven't seen for a long time, and I'm really enjoying it. It's a nice trip.
Day's End brings the drive to the village of Standard. They've seen this before in '87 and all the way back to the early days of the Stampede. Today they've lined both sides of Main Street just to get a glimpse of these magnificent animals and the riders bringing them in. It's a lesson in Alberta history.
A lot of kids forget about the heritage of country and things like that, so I think it's important for everybody to pass it down. Otherwise you forget. You don't really understand things.
From around the corner, the steady drone of hooves on pavement thunders through the streets. Everyone strains for a view. And then, there they are. It isn't something that cowboys and wranglers get a lot of practice at.
It's okay. Go around the block. Anyway, don't try and split them.
But they all work together to keep the broncs in check. And if they show off a little in the village square, who can blame them?
Somebody take off Darcy, go down there now. And go, guys.
With a flourish, they move the herd onto the paddocks. Another time, another celebration, and Standard does it up right.
sing along if you want. Cooking something lovely.
Well, I think some of them are realizing it was a little harder than they originally planned. Not for the Wranglers and the Cowboys, you know, that have done this thing, but some of the city slickers, so to speak, they're looking a little weary. But boy, I tell you, they're jumping back on their horses and they're saying, "I'm not giving up no matter what." But there's a fair bit of Tylenol and Advil going down by the bucketful, so that'll keep them together. Well, today's ride, we're going to kind of continue our roll on down towards Calgary. We're basically heading out of Standard, where we were rolled in last night and they had a big community festivity. We're still going southwest, and so we got some pretty good hills to go over today as we drift towards Calgary. We're going to land in Strathmore tonight, but everything's holding together pretty good and we're rolling. We've got some tired guys, and that we're rolling through pretty good.
It's going great. It's been a pretty relaxing morning, a lot slower pace than the previous days, but that's all right at this point of the trip.
It's day 4 of the drive, an eternity since the Stampede Ranch, and the Wranglers have had a pretty good taste of the cowboy life.
I particularly enjoyed the kibitzing that goes back and forth between them all the time, and they usually are quite funny and they're joking with each other a lot, yet they're serious when they have to be in terms of getting the horses under control and things like that. It's been a really good experience, and I think they've learned a lot about us as well, because you're mixing two different people with different lifestyles. And I think I was talking to one of the cowboys last night, and he was saying they learned a lot about us. They didn't know what to expect either, you know, with us. So that was pretty interesting. He just said, you know, you guys are all great people, and just like we are. It doesn't really matter what you do. It sort of boils down to what the person's like, which I thought was an interesting comment, that they were as much wondering what we were going to be like as we were wondering about them.
Oh, it's been great. This is a once-in-a-lifetime deal where you don't get many opportunities to do this sort of thing. And my wife, bless her heart, made sure I came on this thing, because I was skeptical at first, and she said, "No, you gotta go, because you'll never have a chance to do this again." So it was the right decision. It was good advice.
Into Strathmore they ride, a town with a fine rodeo of its own every August. Tonight, it's another barbecue, another night of stories and camaraderie. But tomorrow, we'll start with a bang. The Trans-Canada Highway, the busiest stretch of road around, and as sure a place as any to get into trouble. The local fire department lends a hand making a clear path. But not everyone appreciates the spectacle.
Some of us gotta work, you know.
Except for a few disgruntled drivers, the crossing is as slick as it can be.
Geez, what a beautiful day.
We'll be there by noon.
I know.
A few miles down the road, the Wranglers make one more turn, and there's no mistaking they're nearing the end of the trail.
In one sense, I'm a little sad that we're going to be finishing it. It's been so much fun. On the other hand, it's going to be pretty exciting tomorrow when we start getting into Calgary. And I think if it's you know, even half as close as what we experienced this morning, I think it's going to be tremendous. The excitement and things like that. And people are, you know, I just looking down at some of the folks are waving and smiling, and it's going to be pretty exciting. It's been a great experience. bit sad when we realize we've turned the final corner. We're on Glenmore Trail now, heading to Calgary. But on the other hand, it's going to be a little exciting, I think, when we get into Calgary. So mixed emotions there.
I learned a lot, met some really good people, understand a little more about what other people do, really have a much better appreciation for what a cowboy is and might have been. It was very much a learning experience and something to talk to my kids about that maybe I know a little more about. So I think it was a good week's education, a lot of fun, a lot of laughs.
Were there big crowds when you went in through Calgary?
Yes, and it's always the same. As you get closer to Calgary, you'll see more people, and by the time you get into the city, it almost seems at times like you're in a parade route with the people in the intersections. And you know, you start out, you see the odd person along the road, and then there just gets to be more and more. Like we've seen today, there's people, you know, like in the middle of the roads and halfway between intersections, and so it gets more all the time.
Just a few miles outside the city, they make their last camp in a secluded field. This is their evening to enjoy with family and friends, both old and new, to relive their magnificent ride, the likes of which many will never experience again.
Cowboy appetite, madam. You enjoy the finest.
Medium rare.
Medium rare. Let's look for medium.
Four guys kneeling down, I think.
We need another guy kneeling down here. Oh, that's great. Okay.
That's a scary thought, my man.
Yeah, Michelle. Look at it. Can you look over? It's getting hard to bend down now. Oh, that's great. Okay.
Geez, somebody's gonna have to go to Calgary for a load of cigarettes.
That's a great song.
A bunch of young cowboys discussing family. Said, when I'll tell you something, boys, you will listen to me. I am an old cow puncher all along the western range. I used to be good with the boys and go on a great big journey. But I have a homeboys and I get with you all alone. Although I haven't seen it since long, long ago. I'm going back to Texas once more to see them all. I'm going to see my mother when the work's all done this fall. That night that very cowboy went out to stand his guard. The weather it was stormy and raining very hard. The cattle lay trapped and they rushed in wild stampede. The cowboys tried to head them off, riding at full speed. The saddle horse did stumble and on it did fall. That boy will not see his mother when the work's all done this fall.
So basically, we just wanted to talk about what we've learned here during the ride, what we're able to accomplish now. And I am really proud and amazed at how much everybody's learned in this last 5 or 6 days. What I see is really sincere want to be able to do it, and so that makes me feel really proud, and our guys feel really proud that they were able to work with you along the way. And you see, as you may have learned something from us, well, we learned from you as well. From the emotional side of it, I know that today's the last day, and we fly away like feathers when we leave here. And I want each of you to know that I really feel close to you. I'm sincerely proud to be able to say that I rode with you. And I want to wish you all the best of luck today. Thank you.
I'm excited. I'm excited. There's a piece of me that says that I'm happy it's over, and then there's a piece of me that says that I'd like to try this again tomorrow. What am I going to do tomorrow?
Okay, guys, let's head them out. Yeah.
Well, I think, you know, in some respects, you know, you can only sustain these things for so long, and I think that 6 days was probably the outside. I mean, I am sorry it's over. You know, a lot of these guys, particularly the professional wranglers, you know, you're unlikely to see again, so that part is, you know, a little bittersweet, I guess.
I think the camaraderie. There's some great camaraderie. It's probably Vern's line, you know, everybody wants to be a cowboy. If you're not a cowboy, you don't have a life. Might be a little truth to that.
I was kidding the guys yesterday. I was asking them what time we had to meet Monday morning after Stampede to ride them back. It was kind of funny because the guys hadn't really sort of focused their thought on that. It kind of hit everybody, I think, that that's what they used to do in the old days. I guess we're thinking this is a pretty big deal to go riding for 6 days, but you know, in the old days when they weren't trucking them, 40 years ago or whatever, they were going from rodeo to rodeo all summer long.
Six days of riding has brought these men and women to this moment, to use what they've learned and finish the job they started over 100 miles away.
The experience has taken me from every parameter of emotion that you could ever want to experience in this short period of time. From exhilaration to fear to frustration, but mostly to the great joy that has developed as this community of riders and cowboys has opened themselves up to us, made us feel like we're on this trail and that we're with them and that we're doing what their dads likely did. And so I often wondered how come nobody could ever explain how it was when they won the Stanley Cup. They couldn't find the words. I now understand that because it's a lot of emotion. Like these horses, you get a heart for this stuff and you don't want to leave it behind.
Isn't that a sight? Oh, they're a little spooked, especially going across the bridges. But other than that, we got her under control.
The climax of an incredible week. 16 men and women left the city with high hopes and no reservations. And they return with the thunder.
Try to describe what we just did to your friends without pictures.
I tell you, that noise, that sound, and that speed of that thing was unbelievable.
Maybe we should trail them back home again?
I don't think anyone back home would have a clue.
I feel complete. I did something that I never thought I'd get finished, and I did it.
It's unexplainable, just wonderful. It's the greatest experience I've ever had in my life. Bringing these horses from the Stampede Ranch at Hannah to the rodeo grounds here in Calgary. It's like something I've never thought I'd ever have the privilege to do.
Kind of sorry it's over. In fact, for another $5,000, I'll go back to Dorothy and do the first 3 days again.
Well, my thoughts on it, I'm pretty blunt about that. In my estimation, it's the only way of life. And in the 21st century, you know, they've done a lot to try and replace the cowboy, but still the only way to handle cattle or any type of livestock out in the open is still with a horse, or I guess it's not the only type of way, but it's the best way. And I think as long as there's enough of us that really take pride in carrying on the tradition and passing that down to the younger generation, hopefully it will continue.